Okay, what we're going to do this week, and actually this is the fourth time I've done it, so I'm getting a little weary, is we're going to create some graphs based on degrees in engineering. I'm going to close this one out. And I'm basing this on two of our workbook exercises that are located at exercise 79 and exercise 80 in the workbook. I can show you. I'm going to post these on the first class site in case you don't have them. With the Adobe, they look like this. Exercise 79 is a relationship between years, every 10 years, 1890 to 1980, degrees in engineering in thousands. We're going to chart that out in a graph. Second exercise is horsepower related between speed, horsepower at the engine, and horsepower at the wheels. So we're going to give that one a shot. You can print these out, have them next to you. I'm going to start with the first one, exercise 79. Let me close this out. We'll go to our, and this is how I've typed it in. I kind of already done this portion of it. Top line is the years, 1890 to 1980 in 10-year increments. Bottom is the number of degrees in thousands. So the first thing we want to do is select the information that we're going to put into the chart, and then go to Insert. We're going to go with a line graph with markers, line with markers. And it's pretty intuitive in that it figures this information out. I'm going to make it bigger. And I'm going to change, if you click on, in the Excel spreadsheet portion of the graphing, if you click on an item, you'll see how it highlights. I can right click and say format the axis. So we can say, I know it's 0 to 1,000, but I want to see it in 50 degree markers. Close. So now we got, this is set up every 50,000 is what the title's going to be on that. Now if we go back here, let's pull it up a little bit so we can see it better. There we go. And I'll pull it out this way. One of the things, by changing this size, you can actually change the importance of the graphing. We can, you'll notice it doesn't have any titles, but up here on the chart layouts we can go down and find a chart layout that shows a title, a legend, a title axis on the bottom and the side. So if I click this one, you'll notice it gives me those title axes. On the top, just left click, and we're going to edit this one and call it bachelor's degrees in engineering. The side axis is going to be titled degrees in thousands. Wonder if I can edit that. I can edit up here. See if that does anything. There we go. Just took out that years, and we're going to call this one years. And again, you can click on it and you get this little arrow. You can kind of center it wherever you want to. So now we've got the years. We've actually got a reasonably looking chart here. Let's select the line itself, and we can format the data series. So we can say the marker options, we want them to be, instead of diamonds, let's make them circles. And I want to make them just a little bit smaller, so we'll go down to a size 5. Marker fill is going to be solid fill. The color is going to be this red color. Line color, solid line, same red color. Line style, we'll leave it the way it is. You can actually change the width of this, so if you want to make it thicker, you can do that. In this case, I probably want to make it a little thinner. Marker line color, marker line style, shadow, 3D format. We don't need to mess with that too much. And we'll just leave that and close it. Now we can see we've changed our lines. Now let's left click on this and right click and say, actually select the whole thing and say add data labels. This puts the number onto the data. And one of the things you'll notice with this is I can select the individual numbers and move them so that if they're in the line area, we can get them out of the way, just dragging them up individually, making it easier to read. With a little practice, you can get pretty good at this aspect of it. Alright, everything else looks good. I can edit any of these pieces here. Hopefully. Change the font size. I was hoping I could change that. We can actually change this one so it's going to read engineering degrees times 1000. If you notice, that changes over here, so we see that a little bit better. We want to change our lines, format these axes so that the line style may be a dashed line. Axis. Solid line, line style, dashed, close. Border, solid line. We'll use the same red. Grid lines, line style, that's what we need. So we get this dashed line. Now the last thing I want to do on this one is just put a little background picture behind the chart area. So we can just right click and say format plot area, and we can look down here at picture for the fill. You can see it comes up with some textures to start with, but in this case let's go for some clip art. And we'll go down and find something that has an engineering. This looks engineering style here. Hit OK. You can also set the transparency of that with this little slider bar, so it just kind of fades it into the background and gives it a nice style, but still kind of leaves it so that things are a little more readable on the front. So with that, we're going to say File, Save. And then we're going to say File, Print, and I'll say Print Preview. This is what it should look like. If I go to Page Setup here, we can go to Margins or Chart. I should be able to say, let's open it. Under the options, we could scale it up, but we'll just cancel that. And we're gonna cancel that. Cancel that one. So page setup. Sorry, I gotta cancel this again. If I go to print, I just want to change it to my Adobe PDF printer and hit OK. And we can actually preview it again That's what it's going to look like when we print it out in Adobe PDF. If you don't have an Adobe PDF printer, most of the clusters should have them. If not, you can actually I could actually take this and do a copy and actually paste it into MicroStation and print it out using our regular stuff, and I'll show you how to do that on the second one. So that's the first chart. Now let's start the second one. We'll just say File, New, Blank Workbook, and this one is going to be, we'll do a File, Save As. We'll call this one Exercise 80A. Exercise 80A is going to have two lines. The first one is going to be speed in miles per hour. We'll start on the second line, so this is going to be 0. It goes in increments of 20, 40 miles per hour, 60 miles per hour, 80, 100, and 120. Now down below that, we're going to have the gross engine horsepower. Of course, at 0 miles per hour, we're going to have 0 and 0 on both of these. So this will be speed in mph, gross horsepower at engine, and this is net horsepower at wheels. At 20 miles per hour, 55 and 37. At 40 miles per hour, it's 105 horsepower and 71 at the wheels. At 60 miles an hour, this is going to be 142 horsepower, and horsepower at the wheels is 99. At 80 miles an hour, this is 178 horsepower, and at the wheels it's 120. At 100 miles an hour, this is 196 horsepower, and it drops down to 125 at the wheels. And then at 120 miles an hour, this is 190 horsepower, and this is going to be 100 horsepower at the wheels. So let's give this a shot. We'll select it, and we're going to go to our insert. This time I want a scatter chart, and I'm going to use this scatter with straight lines. I used the wrong one. Oh, maybe I selected the wrong one. There we go. That looks a little better. Take that one out. Sometimes you have to select different items. And again, we'll go back up to our insert and or select our chart, and other chart types are here. I get the right one. There we go. Our chart layout is over here, so we can select any of these chart styles that show the titles. In this case, let's look at this one, where it shows the data. This is chart style layout 5. We're going to make it a little bit bigger. The line at the bottom is going to be speed in miles per hour. The The axis is at the top is horsepower from 0 to 250. And we'll change, again, we'll just select these and we'll change the axis format to say, we don't have anything over 200 horsepower, so we'll just drop that to 200. And we'll say I want to see this every 10 horsepower. So that means we'll stretch this up a little bit, and it kind of spaces the numbers out. We'll change our title to horsepower. Spell it out. And this one down here is going to be speed in mph. Series 1 will actually be change the text on this, so select data. This is going to be gross horsepower at wheels. No. Control Z. Size of it, I want to change margin entry. Let's try this one more time with this information. Insert the chart. It came out that way, so I'm just going to delete this one, cut it out, use this one. Sorry about that. At least it gives me the right series now by selecting the information. And we'll go to our chart style here, which was the line chart data. There we go. Here again, this is going to be speed in mph. This one's going to be horsepower. Again, we can move some of these numbers. Those out because they were showing the number and the data series. Add data labels. Same thing down here. Add data labels. So it doesn't put it's only putting in the horsepower output on these. So you may have to mess around with them a little bit like I have to, but want is the final product to be good. Just going to move these up on the top of the line so they're easier to read. And these will move down to the bottom. Just to keep them from 100 horsepower, and we want these to be in 10 horsepower increments. So we can bring up the size of this chart. Same with this one. We may want to change this. This goes up to 140 miles per hour, but let's put it at 10 mile per hour increments. Again, we can change our grid lines. We'll give those another dashed line. Border style. Puts a border on the outside. And again, with this one, we can just say format the whole chart area with a picture. This is going to do the whole chart area, so we're going to go to our clip art and find something that looks like a race car. There's one, and it puts it behind. Make it transparent. Close that out. Now let's see if we can I just want to grab the whole chart and say plot area. That puts it in the middle. Put it in the chart area itself. Pull it down so we can see it below this chart. We're going to change our chart title. This is going to be horsepower at engine versus wheels. File print preview. Page setup. Chart. Options. I think that's all set. We should be able to see the assignment 14B will be this one. I'll replace it. That's printed, and I can take a look at it here. There's my chart. Didn't really give me the transparency I'm looking for, but that's fine. It's still pretty readable. There's some of these numbers I'd want to mess with a little bit, and it may be something in my printer setup. So I'm going to close this out. Now let's assume if I select this chart and just say copy, minimize this. This is in case you don't have an Adobe printer. Go to MicroStation. While we're waiting for that to get set up, we only have a couple more classes before our final exam. The rest of the drawings that we do, I'm going to kind of bring them in. These are going to be really short videos because I want you to be able to kind of take these on your own and do them based on what we've been doing in the past without the kind of step-by-step instructions. So the output may be different for everybody, but I'm going to give you a set of drawings or sketches with information on them, and you're going to take those and produce a drawing or drawings describing the object and putting the right dimensions and the right scales on them. So it's going to be a little bit more about you and a little bit less about the step-by-step instructions that we have. I'm just going to open this test drawing up. It's probably one I used last night when I was attempting to do this previously. Hopefully this one is picking everything up, and just show you how to print this out as a PDF from MicroStation. It's not going to give you the same quality, but that's okay. It'll work out. Some of the information. There's one from last night. So all I did was just edit, paste the picture by corners, so I can just bring that in, paste it this way. There's the drawing. To print that out, I would just put a fence around the area that I want to print. Do a Control P. There it is. Just do it says fence here. You're just going to print this out. And you notice we don't have a name on these things, so let me go back to and you can see here that that's what you'd end up with. The lettering and everything, it's just the graphic that gets a little grainy in the background. Let's go back to the Microsoft spreadsheet. Now you need to put your name on here. If you go to Insert, Text Box, and just left click down here, you can type in your name, scrunch it down to where you want it to be, pull it out. That's all you need to do is put your name on there, and you want to do that on both of them before you print, because again, we're only going to print out these out as batches, so if your name's not on the drawing, it doesn't get graded. So make sure you get that done. So that'll take care of today's class, getting these spreadsheets put together, output, and I'll put a folder and the PDF files that have the workbook information on the first class site. Alright, thanks.